Cowboys Nation, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to change how you think about this entire season. The playoffs? Yeah, we need to talk about that. The draft? Oh, we definitely need to talk about that. And the future of America's team? That conversation starts right now. After another heartbreaking loss and watching this defense crumble in the second half for the second week in a row, the reality is hitting hard. The Cowboys are sitting on the edge of elimination, and it's time we shift our focus to something that actually matters for the long haul. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the America's team. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off right now. The Cowboys are done. I know, there's technically still an 8% chance according to the playoff predictor, but let's keep it real with each other. After what we just watched against the Vikings, this team is not making the playoffs. And honestly, that might be the best thing that could happen to this franchise right now. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. Matt Eberflus and this defensive staff had the Cowboys looking like world beaters in the first 2 drives of games, and then everything falls apart. The defense comes out aggressive, they're blitzing, they're getting pressure, Donovan Wilson is flying around, making plays, and then boom, second quarter hits, and it's like someone flipped a switch. The pressure disappeared. They went back to rushing 4 when rushing 5 or 6 was working. And you know what happens when you rush 4 against quality quarterbacks without Micah Parsons? You get torched. Jared Goff picked them apart. A rookie quarterback in J.J. McCarthy looked like a seasoned veteran against this defense. That's unacceptable. But here's where I'm going to pivot, because dwelling on what went wrong this season isn't going to fix anything. What matters now is February and April. What matters now is how Jerry Jones and this front office capitalizes on having 2 first-round picks for the first time in forever. The Cowboys currently hold the 14th overall pick, and they've got the Green Bay Packers pick sitting at 23rd. Now, those numbers will move depending on how the next few weeks shake out. The Cowboys could win a couple games against Washington and the Giants and move back to 16th or 17th. Green Bay could fall out of the playoffs entirely and hand the Cowboys a pick in the high teens or low 20s. But regardless of where these picks land, the Cowboys are in a position of power that they haven't experienced in years. And how they use that power is going to be the most important decision this franchise makes in the next decade. Let me lay out the 3 paths the Cowboys can take, and I want you to think about each one seriously, because all 3 have merit. This isn't about what's right or wrong. This is about philosophy. This is about how you build a championship roster in today's NFL. The first option is simple. Stay put, keep both picks, draft 2 players in the first round, and call it a day. Now, I know some of you are already rolling your eyes like that's boring, but hear me out. This team has holes everywhere. The defense needs help at every level. The offensive line could use reinforcements. The running back room is a question mark. When you have this many needs, having 2 chances to hit on first-round talent is valuable. And here's what makes this strategy interesting. The Cowboys are going to be drafting in a sweet spot, where positional value creates opportunities. What do I mean by that? Every single year, teams at the top of the draft overdraft the big 5 positions: quarterback, edge rusher, offensive tackle, wide receiver, and cornerback. Those guys fly off the board in the top 10 because teams are desperate for those premium positions. But you know what happens? The best player at other positions falls. We're talking about the best safety in the draft sliding to 14. We're talking about the second best linebacker falling because teams are chasing quarterbacks and edge rushers. We're talking about running backs with elite talent potentially being available because teams don't want to use a top 15 pick on a running back anymore. The Cowboys could sit at 14, take the best defensive player available regardless of position, and then sit at 23 and do the exact same thing. You could walk away with 2 starters, 2 guys who contribute immediately, 2 pieces that fill major holes. And if Brian Schottenheimer and the scouting department continue drafting the way they did last year, those 2 picks could turn into foundational players.
The downside? Neither of those players is going to be elite right away. They're going to be good, maybe very good, but they're not going to be that one guy who changes games by himself. They're not going to be the Micah Parsons type player who opposing offenses have to scheme around every single week. But you know what? Maybe that's okay. Maybe having two really solid starters is better than swinging for the fences and missing. This is the safest route, and when you have as many holes as the Cowboys do right now, safe might be smart. Option 2 is where things get spicy. Trade back. Take one of those first-round picks, preferably the 14th overall pick, and move back into the 20s. But here's the key. You're not just moving back for fun. You're moving back to acquire more assets. Think about how draft value works. If the Cowboys trade back from 14 to 25, they could potentially get a second-round pick and a third-round pick in return, maybe even a fourth if the team trading up is desperate for a quarterback or a specific player. Now you've got two first-round picks still, one at 23 and one at 25, plus an extra second and third. That's 4 high-level picks in the first 3 rounds. You could build an entire defensive unit with that haul. You could address safety, linebacker, cornerback, and defensive line all in one draft. The risk with this strategy is that you're banking on your scouting department to hit on 4 picks. History tells us that's hard. Most teams hit on maybe 50% of their first-round picks, and even less in the second and third rounds. But if you believe in your process, if you believe in your talent evaluators, this is how you build depth and sustain success. And depth wins championships in today's NFL. You need more than just 1 or 2 stars. You need an entire roster that can compete. The Cowboys would still be drafting guys in the 20s and 30s who are considered first and second round graded talents. These aren't late round flyers. These are legitimate NFL starters. The question is, do you trust the front office to find them? Do you trust Brian Schottenheimer and his staff to identify the right players at the right positions? Now, option 3 is the aggressive move, and I know it's going to split Cowboys Nation right down the middle. Trade up. Combine both first-round picks, package them together, and move into the top 8 or top 10 and go get your guy. Go get that one elite, game-changing, franchise-altering player that you know is going to be special. Think about it this way. Would you rather have 1 Micah Parsons, or would you rather have 4 solid contributors? Because that's essentially what this decision comes down to. Do you want 1 horse, 1 true game wrecker, or do you want 4 guys who are good at their jobs? You win games with horses. You win championships with elite talent. And if the Cowboys are serious about competing for championships in the next 3 years while Dak is still in his prime, they need to add elite talent, not just good talent. They need that difference maker who shows up in big moments. Think about the Cowboys' pass rush this year without Micah Parsons. You had Dante Fowler, Sam Williams, and others rotating through, and what happened? They couldn't generate consistent pressure. They couldn't take over games. Now imagine if you had drafted 1 elite edge rusher who could do it by himself. That's the difference between having multiple decent players and having 1 great one. Drop your thoughts in the comments, Cowboys Nation. Which strategy do you want to see? I'll be in there debating with you all week. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's keep this conversation going. This is the NFL Playbook Cowboys, and as always, go Cowboys.